Hello again, and we're back. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind, but it's not like I really keep track of the channel since, well, we have our personal differences. I say this, but, it's probably one-sided animosity. Shrug. I do, however, want to actually take this time because I don't think people do it enough to really thank each and every one of you who came out and watched these videos, whether you liked and support the stuff or you just wanted to sit there and mock me. Doesn't really matter either way to me. There are some of the more successful videos on this channel, considering how small it is and how I'm really starting out, but I still do want to thank you, for whatever reason, for even coming out and just giving the videos a look. People probably don't hear that enough, considering today's society is all about how they can tell the fans to go and fuck themselves. But for those of you who, come out, you give the views, even if it's just for a couple of minutes, I know I can be long-winded, I really do appreciate it. I mean, because to be honest, the channel wouldn't even have a reason to exist if you lot didn't come out. So with that said, I recently did my usual spiel look, and yeah, it's been a while since the last video, and it's even been a little bit longer past that since they launched the third video. But, these projects take time. So, of course, that means there's going to be long strands of time between each individual one. So, with that being said, the third video for RWBY Noir has released, and as such, the war between us continues. Now, in this next video, they have introduced the casting in there. Now, I've taken the time and I've listened over it like 3 or 4 or 5 times at this point. I've lost count, and I don't really care to keep count at this point, just to kind of really get a general sense of how this cast is involved. Now, I do want to take at least a point to this one, and you'll probably hear this as we go throughout this one. I'm going to be honest, I don't really think the editing of these clips was all done all that well. Now, I know I don't have any room to speak, considering, hey, I'm just an amateur myself, but this is what I want to tell the edit team in question. Beware a bad editing job. Remember, I am the exact person you are trying to win over when it comes to RWBY Noir, if the trailers are anything to go by. Now, what happens is that some of these sound bites tend to run together, so it's a little bit difficult to tell what each line that is spoken, and that kind of ruins a bit of the quality of this video. And I just wanted to touch on it because for some people out there who may listen to this video and think something sounds a bit off in the way it's introduced, it's because the gaps between these lines aren't necessarily all that pronounced. Some of them run together, so you can't even tell which lines are separate, and some of them are a bit too far apart, so you get kind of an awkward pause in between them. In some cases, it has detracted a little bit from the video, and it's one thing you want to be careful of because, let's remember, this is the first time that this sort of thing takes hold. Now, I'm probably going to do a little bit of experimentation on this video itself, but hey, it's what it's for. So, again, no right to judge because it makes me a hypocrite, but at the same time, remember, I'm the person you're trying to win over, and you have already done a horrible job so far, at least in regards to that one comment and why we have this personal war. So, with that said, further ado...
For the last time, I'm a PI. I don't fight bad guys. I solve problems. Now tell me what you're hiding. I can make it worth your while. I'm not here to play, Torchwick. I'm looking for someone.
Alright, so right off the bat, it's not bad. Now, that's going to be kind of a consistent theme throughout most of these sound bites and whatnot. Overall, I don't really have too much of an issue with the individuals in question. It's not a matter of me attacking them personally. Overall, they do very well, but there are a couple things that I want to touch on individually, and that's where we come in. First and foremost is Yang Xiaolong. Now, the little things that I noticed that I kind of noticed in there is that there's not enough bite to it. There's not enough growl, especially when she's angry. That's one of the things you got to keep in mind. This really comes off more like an annoyed teenager, if anything. And that's what Yang is not supposed to be. If you're hardened and embittered when you're angry, put a little bit more growl in there. It's like, I'm not here to play, Torchwick. Little harder bite. Otherwise, you just come off as annoyed. I'm not here to play, Torchwick. Keep that in mind. The sultry part of it, I had no issues with that. That was well done. So, up kudos to that.
The battlefield is no place for joy. I'm sorry. I couldn't stop him. We need to move. Security's on our tail.
Blake Belladonna. Not bad. Needs a little bit more melancholy, especially with that first line. If you remember the first video, I went along the length out there. That one was like about an hour long. Because I went through all 4 of the trailers. One thing that we also need to remember is that Blake Belladonna is very melancholy. She's, far away. That first line really sounds like it should have been something a little bit more wistful. Didn't come off like that. Sounded more annoyed, if anything. It has the bite that should have been in the Yang part of it. Rest of it was all right. The I'm sorry line felt a little bit rushed. That one had the right bit of melancholy for it, and in that end, it's one thing to keep in mind when you're working with introverted characters like Blake. Remember, they're a little bit more on the deep thinker page sort of deal.
In case you've forgotten, I'm the one in charge of all of you. Schnee Soda. Who authorized that? As the heiress to the Schnee Corporation, I, Weiss Schnee, would like to thank you personally for your brave assistance.
Holy fucking hell! Outstanding! I am truly at a loss for words. That was phenomenal. If nothing else, I have to say that Emily Stewart is probably going to be a joy to watch if this performance is anything to go by. Probably in contrast, but I'll get to that to the final product. But seriously, top tier, well done. That I'm going to be looking forward to. I mean, wow, what a performance. Standing ovation on that part.
Hey, Crescent Rose may be one of the deadliest weapons ever designed, but your little sister is the one holding it. I will only strike down creatures of pure evil. Oh, are we about to fight? Yang, take her down already.
Alright, that one had kind of the same problems as Yang. There are some instances, especially with that last line, that really sounded more like an annoyed teenager rather than frustration. And I think that's also where the first line comes into it as well. Again, sounds more like an annoyed teenager than someone who's frustrated and angry. Again, one thing we have to keep in mind, especially with the show as it originally comes out, if I am understanding this premise correctly, these are not children anymore. So the whole annoyed teenager thing doesn't work as well with these individuals. Alright, now I suppose that kind of about wraps things up in regards to this one. Overall, I do have to admit that at least the Weiss performance, that was fairly well done. In regards to the rest of the performances, it's things that may or may not impact it, but I see some glimmers of promise, which is fine. In regards to it, I really don't want to come down too much on the voice actors, because they're really just there to have a good time. At least that's what I definitely hope to do this. My main issue is, again, with the storyline and premise behind RWBY Noir in question. Whether or not that gets pulled off in the final product is up for debate. But in regards to at least the 4 main cast, I don't really have too much of an issue overall. Most of them are well done, again, especially with Emily Stewart. Good job on that end, and I kind of look forward to seeing that one. As for the rest of them, they've got a little bit to work on, but ultimately, I don't think we'll have any real problems there. So, again, this has been the 3rd video. I do appreciate each and every one of you who do, in fact, come out and watch these videos, and I do appreciate that for making those the highly successful videos that they are. But, again, I look forward to seeing you in the next bout.